Well, students, very warm welcome in this class which, when we are going to read The Stolen Boat we had taken in our previous class. In our previous class, we were reading The Stolen Boat by William Wordsworth, and we have seen that in that poem, Wordsworth is speaking about his childhood experience of a stolen boat. He had stolen a boat and unloosed that tether, and he went away in the waters with that boat, and what kind of experiences he had had, and he had troubled pleasure while stealing that boat, acknowledging his act of stealing, at the same time having pleasure among the waters. And we had seen that he was fearful while rowing the boat in the river. He was fearful, and there were mixed mixed feelings, feeling of pleasure and feeling of stealing, as well as feeling of fear. Fear because he had seen a huge mountain, and the shadow of that mountain made him fearful. And now, as he was rowing and advancing further in the river, we have come to this point, and I read the poem. I struck and struck again, and growing still in stature, the grim shape towered up between me and the stars. And as he struck the oars again, out of fear from that shape, grim shape, he was fearful, and in fear he struck the oars rapidly again and again. And as he struck the oars, he went near that shadow, that grim shape, and the fear became greater to him, and that grim shape towered up between me and stars, and that grim shape overpowered and overshadowed him, and it came between him and the stars. It was so huge and still, for so it seemed, and it seemed to him to be still, with purpose of its own, and measured motion like a living thing. And it was a measured motion like a living thing. It strode after me, and it was following and coming very fast after him, and he was trying to escape from that grim shape, and it seemed to him to be like a living thing. It was a non-living thing, yet his fear was so great that it seemed to him a living thing, and it was coming in measured motion and striding after him. With trembling oars I turned, and he was trembling and shivering out of fear. And with trembling oars I turned, and through the silent water stole my way back to the covert of the willow tree. And he says that with trembling oars he turned to save himself, and through the silent water stole his way, and he tried to escape through that silent water of the river, and he wanted to escape back to the covert of the willow tree, wanted to escape back to the covert of the willow tree. covert of the willow tree means he wanted to escape very secretly so that that grim shape cannot acknowledge his hiding. So he wanted to hide himself behind that willow tree. There in her mooring place I left my bark, and at the mooring place is a wild open area of highland that is covered with grass. So mooring place is a wild open area of highland that is covered with grass and heather. So there he left his bark, and through the meadows homeward went, and he stealthily or stridingly he left that place and boat, and through the meadows he went towards home in grave and serious mood, and he left that place with a very serious mood. But after I had seen that spectacle for many days, and such deep impact or deep fear he had in his heart and mind of that grim shape, that after seeing that grim shape or the shadow of the mountain, that spectacle, for many days my brain worked with a dim and undetermined sense of unknown modes of being. The fear of that grim shape overpowered his mind, and fear hovered over his head and mind or brain. His brain worked with a dim and undetermined sense of unknown modes of being. That unknown mode of being of that non-living thing, which was still a living thing for him, and he could not decide whether the mountain was a living thing or what sort of being it was, and it was in his heart and mind. The fear of its being was in his heart and mind. Over my thoughts there hung a darkness, and over his thoughts there were darknesses. Call it solitude or blank desertion, and the poet says, whether you call that darkness or the fear and a solitude or blank desertion, he felt himself deserted and lonely. No familiar shapes remained, no pleasant images of trees. There remained no familiar shapes to him, which was earlier very familiar, the shapes of nature, the beauty of nature, which he was very familiar. Now, after that particular incident, there remained no familiar shapes, no pleasant images of trees, and the trees which were very pleasant to him, to his sight, were offering no pleasure to him, of sea or sky, and the sea which he was very fascinated with, or sky which he liked the most, the stars, the sky, everything, every natural phenomena looked to him very in a gloomy manner. No colors of green fields, and that those meadows or pastures or green fields fascinated him no more. So there is an emphasis of the word no. The emphasis is suggestive of his deep sense of fear. But huge and mighty forms that do not live like living man, and still that shape which he could not decide whether it is living or non-living, those mighty forms or huge shapes were still hovering over his mind like living man. They do not live like living men. That mountain moved slowly through the mind, and everything went on in his mind like that. By day, throughout the day, he kept thinking about and fearing of those shapes and were a trouble to my dreams. And even in his dreams, even he fall victim of the sleeplessness due to the fear of that shape. So, this is one of the experiences, his experiences with nature, that nature which he found like a guardian, a mother, or a, a figure to be adored, gave him other experiences as well, not only beauty but fear, not only pleasure but some sort of dread was there in nature he found. We can also see others examples of such kind of impact of nature on his heart and mind in this very long poem, The Prelude. Here there is one incident of stealing the eggs of a bird, and there also similar sort of feeling was there. So Wordsworth is very much autobiographical here, and he presents such kind of experiences here and there in his poems. So, students, you should read this poem in light of the explanation and interpretation we have done at your home, and try to read this poem with intent and with hard work. Thank you so much.